Fabulous people, hope you guys are having a fantastic Friday. It is pre-release weekend. Last weekend we got all the world premiere. The whole set for Super Slam has been revealed. I'm just going to break down in this video. I'm going to kind of go through my thoughts on the set and the cards, and kind of the prices. Star City Games is the only one that has prices up right now. Fluke Box has some as well, but Star City Games has the U.S. prices at the moment. Full disclosure, I have no association with Star City Games. Just this is where the prices are at and the cards are up. Without further ado, code JCH gets you a free month of Fyendal's Collection Premium. Subscriber count up to 755. Thank you guys for your support. Let's just get into it. The Fabled, $300 for a rainbow foil. That's Rich's Triple Donny level. I think this gem is less impactful than Rich's, but more widely usable, if that makes sense. And loose pull rate data from Hamal seems like the Fabled is slightly easier to pull than previous Fableds. So correct me in the comments if I'm wrong there, but it seemed like one in about 30 to 35 boxes for a Fabled. Cold foil Fabled, 650 is crazy. I know we took a set off from a cold foil Fabled, but $650 is pretty insane. I mean, this, I think Fabled will be a consideration for Assassin and Warrior, and anybody that's trying to get a meaningful on-hit pretty consistently. Assassin and Warrior, because they do most of their stuff in the reaction step, and the meaningful on-hits makes it harder for stuff like the D-reacts, the blocks, and everything like that to block out the thing without being a continued detriment. So I think this is a bit high. I think realistically the rainbow foil will settle probably between 150 to 200 eventually, and the cold foil probably around 350 to 400. So we're probably like, what, 30% too high on this at the moment, 40%. So I would hold off on this unless you absolutely need it for PQ season, and I would still test it before you buy it on like Talishar. Next, we've got the legendaries. Flick Knives, non-foil, and EA Rainbow Foil. $60 for a non-foil I think is pretty fair. The Rainbow Foil I think is still at like 85. I just purged my Rainbow Foil at 75. The EA Rainbow Foil 150. These the EA Rainbow Foil, New Horizon, and Flick Knives are on the same level of pull rate as the cold foil. So I would guess these are going to settle right around the cold foil or below the cold foil, depending on how people like the cold foil. For New Horizon, I think the EA Rainbow Foil might be more expensive than the cold foil because just the way Tales of Aria print runs are. The first edition is 3 times more likely to have than the Rainbow Foil, so there's a lot less Rainbow Foil New Horizons out there than there are Cold Foil. So the EA Rainbow Foil might go for more than the Cold Foil. But with that being said, Flick Knives, 150. I think the EA Rainbow Foil probably settles around 100. The non-foil, depending on how the pull rates are, I'm guessing the non-foil will be like $40. But I like the new art, especially if you're a Syndra player. I think that this is the art you want for Syndra. The old Flick Knives didn't really vibe with her aesthetic, but that's just a personal preference, I guess. Gauntlets of Tyrannical Rex. I think these are pretty good in Reinhardt and Tough Nut, or if you're trying to play a slower brute game, these are going to get more value through that. Tough Nut especially can just pitch the 6 off the top of his deck using his hero ability. Doesn't really have to pitch for anything. So that is like an auto include in him. Reinar, I think, can get some more use out of these over a longer game as well. The Cold Foil 125, I think that's probably pretty fair for pre-release, but I think it'll probably settle around 70, 80 down when we get down to it. Rainbow Foil T-Rex, for $50, I think that's fair right at the moment. The Rainbow Foil Bone Breaker is right at $50. So this being the kind of replacement for that is not too far off. I just think this is going to be more niche. I think it'll probably settle at like $35, $30. Iron Fist of Revelation is interesting because this, I wouldn't say, is super towards the 2 new Guardians, and it's more towards Bravo and Valda because of the crush effects. So I think Valda and Bravo definitely want these over the previous ones. This replaces Crater Fist for sure. This is just the more aggressive Crater Fist now. Crater Fist just getting dumpstered on now. But Iron Fist, once again at 100, I think isn't too bad. I would think probably, once again, two hero usage. These class Ls aren't really like used by everybody, so it's really not going to be super popular. The Rainbow Foil at 50, I think, is pretty spot on. The Cold Foil, I think, is going to be like 80. New Horizon, I think the non-foil will go pretty drastically down. I don't think Marlin's not using it right now unless they switch to the more aggressive build, which I haven't seen that currently. I think it's basically Riptide running this, and anybody in LL. I think, and to be determined. I still think we're due Alexi or Elemental Ranger replacement. We just haven't seen that. That card pool's been dead like a year and a half now. Going on 2 years, which is about the max they allow a card pool to be dead. So I would buy New Horizon kind of to hold on to it for that Elemental Ranger, but who knows what that looks like. If it's a Lexi replacement, a Lightning Ranger, Earth Ranger, that kind of thing. But Elemental Ranger, their card pool has been dead for a hot minute. And last but not least, Warmongers. It comes in Rainbow Foil, new art, which I personally like the Bolton art better, but I'm biased there because I like Bolton. And then Cold Foil. Cold Foil at 100 to 120 have sold out. These are on the rarity level of Cold Foil regular legendaries and these EA Rainbow Foils. I think this is going to be kind of your collector installation here. Buying the Cold Foil Warmongers will get you probably a decent installation for the future. I think the Rainbow Foil and non-foil old ones probably go down. I'm guessing the non-foil settles around like 20, maybe $30. The Rainbow Foil probably will be just a touch above that. There'll be now more Rainbow Foils in the wild than there is non-foils in the Cold Foils by a significant margin. But good job reprinting another card, LSS. Marvels, let's get into that. Gallo has sold out at $50 and $60 on Star City Games. I think this is his ally cost is pretty heavy. His effect is good to reduce on hits. Can help prevent like Dawnblade counters and draw cards and stuff like that. But three cost to play him out, and the discard for Watery Grave, that's a pretty hefty cost for 3 health and 4 attack, and then he costs to attack, so he's not like Chum where he stays out on the field because he has big health and he attacks for free. Tell me down below if you guys are really excited for Gallo. I personally don't think he's going to see that much play. Maybe a 1 or 2 of in certain matchups, kind of a sideboard thing. The Olympia armor has been at $79 to $80 or $90. None have sold that I've seen. Correct me down below. But I want these. They're sweet. They're all connected to one thing, and this makes your golden anvil that much easier to get off. But I think the the amount of Olympia players that want to collect these are very minimal. The Olympia deck is pretty crazy expensive already, and getting the Marvels are more expensive to just be mediocre. With that being said, I think these, depending on their rarity and where they settle and actual demand, which I think is pretty minimal, I think we're looking at probably $20 to $40 on these max. That's I don't get me wrong, they're one of the coolest Marvels they printed because it's the one complete art piece. But man, just to have this counts as gold and temper for Olympia only is a rough ask for a price. The adult or the young KO, $40 I think is overpriced. Pretty much all the young Marvels, I think pretty much $40 is probably fair for now, but they settle around 20. So I would hold off. There's not that much blitz hype or demand, I would say, out there. Most people just play CC and stick to CC. KO, the underhanded cheat adult Marvel, 175 I think is probably on the high end. This KO, out of everybody here, and you can correct me down in the comments, but I think he is the one that needs the most help from the current set or coming out. He's doing a completely different thing than any other Brute has really wanted to do in the past, while also being revile blocked, and I just haven't seen a lot of KO 100 hit and cheat, like this is busted kind of thing. Now, old KO from Heavy Hitters, he got a ton of stuff in this set. We'll get to that later, but hold off on that. Goliath adult Marvel, these have sold out at 150 and 175. I think he's one of the cooler heroes from this set. He's the one, if I had to build one right now, he would be the one I build. Where's Tough Nut? Did I already go past Tough Nut? Okay. Anyway, I think this is still pretty overpriced. I would say like 150 is where he's going to be at. But we'll see where that settles. He seems like he has to be super aggressive to stay relevant, because most of his stuff is front pumps because defending his cards, he doesn't get the full value from them, so it's hard to be defensive. But we'll see. Somebody with more brain cells has to figure this one out for me. The hero's really cool and fun and interesting, but I don't know how meta relevant he's going to be. Pleiades is really strong. Being able to do the instance from hand solves a lot of problems, as well as they block 3, and she gets the full block value out of them. As well as juggling the instance with her hero ability for free is pretty crazy. 250 I think is just a touch high. I think 200's where her Marvel will settle. She seems like the one that's going to be the most relevant, the fastest. And then she's got her big adult Marvel. This is in Maori, I think is how you pronounce this. Basically Polynesian, New Zealand, Islander kind of thing, language. Really cool Marvel. This seems to be about Rosetta Thorn level pull rate, so I would guess this is going to settle probably on 500-600. Very pretty card. Tough Nut. I don't know why they don't have big boy Tough Nut Marvel out, but Tough Nut, the young one, is probably, once again, I think $20-$30. The adult, I think, probably around the 125-150. He's definitely better than I gave him credit for initially. The toughness tokens help him a lot, and he's actually able to get quite a bit. He does seem to he'll struggle into gold wide decks and probably board state decks, but into go tall decks he really will shine. I got the Marvels here. Let's just get to just the Majestics. This includes the EAs, which I didn't know so many of these came in Majestic cold foil. Angelic Attendant, the Light Illusionist one that awakens a figment, I think it's pretty strong. The cold foil is probably pretty rare. $80 I think is a tough ask for a one hero card. Cries of Encore. This is also pretty. You may play an aura spin. If you're going to build auras, this is an auto include, but all the Guardians now can do auras if you so choose. Pleiades just does it the best. Excuse me. Show of Strength. This card, I think, at $80 was probably underpriced. This card is going to be a brute staple going forward for a long time. This is basically swing big level, and then it comes in an EA cold foil. Pretty crazy. Channel the Tranquil Domain. I think this card is okay against these Aura Guardians and Fang, and that's about it. Anybody that keeps an Aura out or wants to get value out of their Aura, what this card has going for it that's a positive is it's a yellow block 3 Earth card, which is sometimes relevant enough to make it in the deck. I just don't think it's going to see a heck of a lot of play. Leave Them Hanging, I think, is a good card. $50 or $60 for that is probably a bit overpriced. This is going to be put in pretty much, or it's only Lyeth. It's a Lyeth specialization, basically. $60 for a cold foil EA. Will probably be a 3 of in his deck. I don't see how it's not. The Pleiades Armor cold foil at $50 I think is pretty fair, honestly. I think you're just going to get the rainbow foils in the armory deck, so these demand is not quite as high. I would guess these settle probably around $30. Good-natured Brutality at $50, basically a tough nut specialization. Card's good. These specialization cold foils I don't think are gonna have that much demand. I guess the sell is probably around 30. The KL one I think has less application. This is probably a $20 card. I could be wrong there. Backspin Thrust probably also. This, if Puffin starts taking off, which I think this card helps Puffin a lot more than people are realizing, this card can go crazy, but I think $30 to $40 is probably pretty fair for it. Overcrowded Rainbow Foil, $35 I think is a bit much to ask, especially considering ProQuest in a few weeks has EA cold foils for the top 4, so the Rainbow Foil is going to get pretty depressed. I think it'll be within $5 of the non-foil, and the non-foil I expect to be like $15, so $20 for a Rainbow Foil. Blood Follows Blade, $30 for a Kasai specialization. Don't get me wrong, the card's good, but specializations don't sell that well. I think this is going to be like a $5 to $10 card, probably like $7. Well, for the Rainbow Foil, probably like $12 to $15. Felling of the Crown, $30. I think that's a pretty good buy. I haven't checked where they're at. Last time I checked, they were like $40 to $50. So makes sense on the non-foils. They're trying to purge them quick. 12 in stock. That's quite a bit. Felling of the Crown, $30 is pretty good. Hunter of the Hunted, Arachne. This is basically an Arachne specialization. I don't think anybody else is going to run it because he gets the value of looking at the top card and actually being able to consistently banish. So $25 seems pretty high for this. I would say probably this is for a Rainbow Foil, like $10. In the palm of your hands, once again, if you're going to run Aura Guardian, this is probably going to see play. $25 for that is probably high. Probably this is $15, $20 card. Blood Follows Blade, probably 7 to 10. Snag, I think this probably gets down to the $15 range. Snag was only rare because of Crucible, and now Bonds of Agony being banned. I think that's less stuff you really want to snag. Light Up the Leaves. This card's insane. $20 is sold out. I think that's fair because I've seen quite a few want-to-buys. Not very many of these cards I've seen want-to-buys at $20 and above. Light Up the Leaves. This card's going to push for dance crazy. Beat of Iron Song. Dorinthia Specialization. Oh, well, I guess it only says Dawn Blade. The only hero you're really running Dawnblade in is Dorinthia, but I've also seen some like fatigue decks run just Dawnblade, so this could see play in multiple decks. Rainbow foil for probably I would say $10 since there's not that much sales here. Hit the gas, rainbow foil, max card good, max is bad. I would say this is a $7 rainbow foil. Cutting retort, rainbow foil for generic, destroying auras. It's a 0 cost block 3 red. Rainbow foil for a generic 16, I don't think it's that bad. I think it probably goes down to 10 and then kind of it'll settle there and then it'll go until the stock's out. $15 for plow under. That's pretty darn good. Wow. You can get Beat of Iron Song rainbow foil for $1 more than the non-foil. That seems like a deal if you're needing the card right away. Tempest Palm, Gust Wave. I think once again I guess this isn't a Katsu specialization, even though Katsu's on it. But Surging Strike, he's really the only one running Surging Strike. I think Ira's occasionally run it just to get an extra go again at the start, but this card's like $8 for a rainbow foil. Angelic Attendant, I think this is once again probably like a $5, $10 non-foil, probably like $7.50. Painful Passage, this card's pretty darn good for Vincent. Vincent was moving up in the meta. I would say this is a $10 rainbow foil. Show of Strength for $15 non-foil, I think is a pretty good buy. What else do we have here? Reckless Stampede, this card is nuts. People are sleeping on this card. I might have to buy these. $13 for the rainbow foil. This card can just end games. If you don't win the clashes and the brute has a life lead, you can just watch your if you're down to like 5 and you have to block this with more than 2 or 3 cards, you can just watch your life disappear. And you have to block this in full if you're at that low, so you can easily send like 3-4 cards in front of this, and if you don't win the classes, you just lose 4 health. This card is crazy, especially for Brute, when you're running mostly 6s anyway. After each clash, though, whoever loses can sink a card off the top of their deck and put it and clash again. This card is this is Show of Strength level. It's really good. I think this card, if I had to choose to run one or the other, I would choose this card over Show of Strength. Take the Bait, Riptide Specialization. I think this is for a rainbow foil like $7. Gallo for the non-foil probably is 10, probably pretty fair for now. Probably a $7 card when it settles. No Hero Stands Alone. Revered Action. This card I think is not that great. Fix the Match with Lyeth. If you do his like cheating super rare, or maybe it's a rare, it's a blue block 3, and then it's like if you lose a clash instead win, and it's a 5 attack card. This can create 5 mites off of that in this interaction. That card is pretty good interacting with the 2, especially since it's a blue block 3, so you're going to pitch it most of the time anyway. It's going to stay in your deck. You may keep like 1, maybe 2 in the deck just so you can cycle and do Fix the Match. And then Fix the Match, this is 2 power regardless at the start of this. And then if you pump this with a bunch of mites or like front pumps and threaten like 15 health, they're going to block it with something. They're not just going to say, send me the bill. I mean, they could, but Bully Tactics. This has an EA cold foil from the packages for this season, so I would say same thing with Crowd Goes Wild. The rainbow foil is probably going to be pretty depressed from those. Tranquil Domain, $20 or $10 for this. I think that's pretty fair for a non-foil, especially considering it's Earth and block 3. I don't think, like I said earlier, I don't know how much you care about the rest of the text on this. Just getting another block 3 Earth card that pitches is pretty solid. Sometimes it'll have a good effect. Sometimes most of the time it's just going to block 3. Catch of the Day. This card's pretty good for Marlin. $10 for the rainbow foil. I think is a bit high. Marlin's really not doing anything crazy. Tempest Gust Wave, $10. I think this is high. Probably like this is like a $5 card. Battlefield Beacon Rainbow Foil is $10. Bolton's not doing anything in the meta. This is a Bolton specialization until we get another thing. So this is probably like a $5-6 Rainbow Foil. What else do we have? We've Parched Terrain. This card is awful. I think you may run one of in Fang just to spite Verdant's late game, but I don't think it's really going to be that relevant. No Tall Tales card's okay. It's basically Spinal Crush, but you have to get Tower. But unless you dominate it or overpower it or confidence it or whatever, they can just block it out. Mage Arrow, I don't think that was really that effect. I don't think this effect was that relevant, but probably a $5 card. I think that's all the Majestics. Supers. I'm just going to quickly go through these. Song of Sinew. This card's crazy in new KO. Up on a pedestal, obviously going to be a Verdance card. Truth or Trickery. I'm not sure this card is going to see that much play. It's really cool. It's a Timmy / Johnny card. If you get the thing off and you make your opponent discard the card, it's great. If you don't, you're like, oh, whatever. Jaws of Victory. This is good in Tough Nut. Turning Point. This card is crazy. Big Boy, really good in KO. New KO. Kick the Hornet's Nest. I thought this one was interesting. It's basically Nasty Surprise, but you get more. So I'm interested on this card, but I don't know how you're really going to force the effect. If you get pummeled or like CNC'd or something, it obviously put it in your arsenal and just wait. I guess you IP yourself until it's good, but I don't think this is going to see that much play. Never Give Up. I don't think it's going to see much play. Renounce Violence. I don't think it's going to see much play. Cut a long story short, this card is crazy in Lyeth, and I've seen Pleiades run it. This card, I think, is one of the better supers. $5 for Rainbow Foils, I think, is actually a pretty good buy. Escalate Violence, I think you're going to run in Lyeth because you're going to create a might basically every turn. And if you can get the effect, it's actually good, and it's a blue block 3. Wind Up the Crowd. 2 Steps Ahead also probably sees play in Lyeth just because it's a blue block 3, and then its effect's decent. Unwavering Resolve, I don't think it's going to see that much play. Old Favorite. Cheater's Charm, obviously the charms are going to see pretty much all play in Hungry for More. I've seen see play in Pleiades and Lyeth and some other one. Cut the Small Talk. I think this one's also pretty decent for Lyeth. I think you just run Cut the Long Story Short, and if you have room for another one, this one might not see play. I think that is it. One thing to note, the pull rates for Majestics are about 7 to 8 per box, and the supers are like 9 to 10 per box. So the supers are just slightly easier to pull. So that is it for today. Hope you guys have a fantastic Friday. Enjoy your pre-release. Hope you guys have blessed pulls. Thank you. Bye.